If the news reports are to be believed, we stand at the edge of a momentous event. Donald John Trump, the 45th president of the United States, will soon be arrested and charged with crimes by the district attorney in the city of New York, in the state of New York. No American president has ever been arrested, fingerprinted, booked, charged, and brought before a judge. This isn't a moment for celebration. It's a tragic moment for our country, but an important one, because the principle that is asserted is foundational. No person in America is above the law. But this is a tragic hour also, because it speaks to the degradation of our politics, the decay of our society, that such a wretched man could have been elected president in the first place. We should all understand what Donald Trump wants. He wants violence in the streets. He wants chaos in the society. His rhetoric in recent weeks has become more and more extreme. His intimations towards violence have become more direct. He isn't just a constitutional vandal, he's a societal cancer. He is among the most repugnant Americans that has ever lived. And there is no president in American history who can come close to matching his record of indecency, incompetence, and sedition. Donald Trump doesn't deserve sympathy, but Donald Trump is entitled to protection under the law. Donald Trump is entitled to due process. And this is a moment that is important because it calls on Donald Trump's fiercest critics to be his loudest supporters about his fundamental right to a fair trial. Donald Trump is innocent, not guilty, until he is found guilty by a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. And this is an important point. I take a backseat to nobody in the United States when it comes to my opposition to Donald Trump. I find him utterly repugnant. There is no figure in American history that deserves more disdain and more loathing than Donald Trump for the profound damage he has done to this country. His malice has divided the country. He has stoked a cold civil war. His incompetence led directly to the deaths unnecessarily of nearly 1 million Americans. He weakened America abroad. He hurt the American economy. There are 1,000 things that could be said about Donald Trump, all of them terrible and all of them true. I disdain him. I find him repugnant. He changed my life profoundly. I was the first person in America to predict that Donald Trump could win the election. Most every other pundit said he was a clown and a joke. I didn't. I said he was dangerous, and I said he could win. During the Republican convention of 2016, I was sitting on an MSNBC set with Brian Williams, Rachel Maddow, and Gene Williams from the Washington Post. Michael Flynn was on the stage, and he was leading the crowd in a chant of, "Lock her up, lock her up."
I do think the lock her up chant, as it's received at home to that 32% of the electorate who will decide the outcome, it seems a little banana Republican to me.
In the United States of America, we don't try to criminalize our political disagreements, and we don't lock up our political opponents. But that's what General Flynn, the political extremist, was calling for. And no doubt, if the media reports are true and Donald Trump is arrested, millions of Americans who find him as repugnant as I will celebrate. And they will be happy that a former president of the United States has been handcuffed and fingerprinted. Millions of people will look at his corruption, will look at his malice, will look at his division, will look at his misconduct, and they will cheer. But this is not a happy day for the United States. This is a tragic day. And this is a day when Donald Trump's fiercest critics are called to be better than his most committed fanatics. We cannot survive as a democracy if both parties succumb to the illiberalism manifested and represented by Donald Trump's presidency. The United States is a nation of laws, where the rule of law is supreme. And in principle, in the United States, no man, no woman is above the law. And that includes former presidents of the United States like Donald Trump. Let me be clear. I find Donald Trump repugnant. I did everything that I could to oppose his reelection in 2020. I quit my job. I shut down my business. I resigned from corporate boards and a lucrative television contract to get into the fight. I founded an organization that millions of people followed. $100 million was raised, and 86% of it was spent on programs designed to beat Donald Trump. It played a major role in his defeat. And I was gratified when President Biden called and thanked me for the role I played in beating Donald Trump. It was gratifying, but it came at a cost. The cost for me was significant. I was smeared, I was harassed, I was threatened with death. FBI agents came to my house. They told me I was the target of a bomb plot. Bags of human excrement were mailed to my house, where my children sleep. I was smeared as a pedophile. I was smeared and threatened on the internet. And it continues to this day. But justice is not revenge. And I want to make something clear. Donald Trump's fiercest critics must be the staunchest defenders of his constitutional rights. Donald Trump tried to burn the American Constitution to the ground, but that does not mean that he is unprotected by it. Donald Trump is not guilty of a crime until he is found guilty by a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. To be accused of a crime in America is not the same as being found guilty of one. Donald Trump has rights, and those rights must be protected. And every American who loathes him, who finds him repugnant, who is disgusted by the division, by the insanity, by the malice, and by his intimations of violence, must understand that this hour, no matter how tempting, is not a happy one. This is a sad time to see a person who was given the greatest honor that his fellow citizens could give be brought low by his own misconduct. Every president of the United States, all 44 of them, have sworn the same oath. There is no president who has breached, betrayed, and violated that oath in the ways that Donald Trump has. He made a mockery of that oath. He disgraced the office of President of the United States, and he badly damaged the country. Donald Trump has divided the American people. He has injected venom into our society. He is a poisonous and cancerous figure. I loathe him. I find him utterly repugnant. But let me be the first to say this. He is innocent until proven guilty. Because Donald Trump tried to shred the American Constitution, tried to claim that he was above it, does not mean that he is unprotected by it. And this is what Donald Trump's fiercest critics must understand in this moment. We must be better than Donald Trump's most committed fanatics. We must be good Americans. We must understand and embrace one of the most foundational concepts to American liberty, which is that no person is guilty by being charged with a crime. That to be found guilty means to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And yes, that applies to Donald Trump. Donald Trump has never been held accountable, not really a single time in his entire life. It seems that that hour is coming due. But as that hour approaches and a momentous event transpires, the arrest of an American president, the whole world will be watching. Trump's arrest gives an opportunity for a restoration, both of our politics and one of the most fundamental concepts in the United States, that no person is above the law and that every person is entitled to equal protection under the law. That's the American way. Many people will be delighted to see Donald Trump in handcuffs. Many people will be delighted and yearning to see his mugshot. I won't be sad about it, and I think he deserves it. But it is a tragic moment for the country, and it is a divisive one. Though it is necessary, we've arrived at a dangerous hour. Donald Trump has made clear that he wants his supporters in the streets. And we do know that Donald Trump has killed before. He's killed with words. He incited murder, mayhem, and madness. Donald Trump's lies incited thousands of people to come to the Capitol of the United States and to storm it, to defecate in the chambers of the United States Senate and the United States House of Representatives. Thousands of those people have paid the price. They're convicted criminals. Some of them will serve long prison sentences. These days will be difficult ahead because they will be tense and because there are fanatics among us who will do anything for Donald Trump. Will there be violence? Will there be attempts to intimidate and silence the law enforcement officials and officers of the court in the state of New York? No doubt there will be. But America is a nation of laws, and those laws are stronger than the ego and narcissism of any one man. Among the great contributions of the United States to the world is our justice system. We will have an opportunity to show it to the entire world that it's fair, that it's decent, and even a scumbag like Donald Trump can get a fair hearing.